4, so we're going to call the meeting to order. First item of welcome, everybody, and then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, I'm going to call the roll. Scott? Jared?
Here.
Heather? Here. And I'm Jane, and I'm here. Okay. I was in error on Monday night. We do have 2 sessions of public comment. There will be public comment right now, and that would be for any kind of public comment. The public comment about the Ranger project will occur primarily during the public hearing. There is an opportunity for that public comment there. We do have sign-in sheets on the speaker's podium if you're willing to sign. It's not mandatory, but it will help us to make sure we have the record straight. So we would appreciate it if you could do that. One sheet says open, the other one says public hearing. And I guess I better put a pen down there.
There's one there.
There's 2 pens there.
There's 2 pens.
As long as they work.
Oh, there we go.
Make sure.
Okay, got pens. So at this point, we're open for public comment. Looks like we're all here for one purpose.
Got a question?
Your name, please.
Cameron Daglow. Cameron Daglow. My grandmother lives across the street, 1020 North Adams Road, and we have multiple solar panels on our house. And she saves what? 42 cents a month? And she pays $150 a month for those solar panels. So my question to the council and the entire community, who does this actually benefit? Between the turbines, the solar panels on Jonesville Road, and the solar panels on 12, does the community benefit from this action? And where's the proof?
Okay, thank you.
That's fine, me.
They don't answer.
No, they won't answer at all. No comment.
So is that no comment to them?
This is public comment, and we're trying to keep track of questions, and we'll try to answer those that we can later on during the discussion.
One more person walking up here to say something? Anybody else got anything to say? Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not the only one. So, but that's my concern. Who benefits, who gets what, is what the community probably wants to know. Because from what we have around here, everybody's electricity bill should be cut in half at least. Where does it go is what we want to know. Thank you.
Should be free. Just be free, get out. Yeah.
Maybe it's time, maybe it's not. Dennis Roney, 1900 North Adams Road, Jonesville, Michigan. I'm going to keep this one real short. When I get to ask questions, you're going to give me 3 minutes, and they're going to hem-haw on their answers. So I got like 20 questions, so I'm probably not going to get answers on a lot of those. That being said, how are they going to fix our community and our trust? That's something, this is a community that, again, was built on, Bakers Road, Godfrey Road, 200 years of family-owned farms, and they're dangling a carrot in front of people. How are they gonna fix trust in this community? I don't think no one's gonna answer that. I don't think they have an answer. I don't think they care, because once they get their commission check, they will be out of here. They won't look back, and they'll be sitting pretty.
Just like my grandma,
Yeah.
getting raped for no reason.
Yeah, getting raped. They're gonna come in here, pillage our county, rape us, destroy us, get us pissed off at each other. Excuse my language, any kids. They don't care. These guys don't care. All they care about is their money in their pocket. And you can look at me, you, Brady, you're just a kid, man. You don't even know. You have no idea. Put another 20 years under your belt. See how you feel when somebody tries to come into your neighborhood and take it over and take away everything that you worked for. You see how you feel.
Hey, Dennis, please address the commission.
What are we here for? We have a choice in talk.
Start it over.
On a lighter note, my name's Richard Smith, 4272 Half Moon Lake Road. I've been trying to get a hold of you people, doesn't seem to be anybody in the office. I have a question. My property taxes are through escrow. They send everything to the bank. The bank doesn't send me anything. I never get a statement until I look at my checking account and find out what my taxes cost. And also, I don't get a chance to rebuttal whether I think it's right. Is there some way you can send me that too? I mean, after all, my account's paid the first of every month. Or the first of every tax time. You know, you get it immediately. The least I could do is get a statement that tells me what I'm gonna pay and also what it's gonna be. So if that can get to the right people, I can't find anybody in the office. I realize we're small, budgets are terrible. But my point is, I just think that I'd like to have something taken care of on that.
Could you tell me your name again?
Richard Smith, 4272 Half Moon Lake Road. Thank you.
So just to be clear, I get 3 minutes now and 3 minutes later? All right, good deal. Started the clock on me too. Not gonna steal any seconds this week. Yeah. Okay, well, 26% of our farmlands going to this. Enough's enough. Wait, that's way more than it should be. I can't imagine that over a quarter of any community farmlands given that much. They got Ranger One. We contributed to our duties of the green for the people that believe in that. It's not, I mean, I think the windmills probably are better than solar, to be honest with you. But we got enough of it. I would just want you guys to consider how much is enough. What's next? What data centers, battery storage places, those things catch on fire. Whatever one direction it goes, it's taking everybody with them. These things and the toxic stuff right there next to the river, leaching down into the BB Creek, you know, with the endangered species that we got in there, there's nowhere else. All the way through. I mean, we've had tornadoes over in Union City, one of those tornadoes go through, and it's every one of your house insurances, my house insurance, gonna pay for their problems. We don't need that. We don't need that. Let you guys off the hook with my last minute.
Thank you. Your name, please?
I'm Sylvia Valdez. I live at 482 Salem Drive. It was mentioned in previous meetings that we have a master plan, and then in the master plan that this land is agricultural. And I'm wondering, what's the point in having a master plan if we're not gonna follow it? My second thing is, everything has a downside, and I don't hear Ranger Power telling us what the downside is to having these solar panels in our neighborhood. And also, whatever happened to government by the people and for the people? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allergies, I'm so sorry, folks. Anyone else?
Does anybody have an answer for any of these questions? No. We gotta find that out on Facebook or?
They don't have Facebook, they don't have a website.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't have Facebook either, but I just want.
My name is Steve, and I'll be reading a letter from Allison Hutchinson to the Township Board. I'm a Jonesville City resident who is tracking the Heartwood solar projects with interest and concern. I've attended many of the meetings and reiterated all of the concerns voiced by citizens about the way this current project and proposed projects change the landscape of the quiet rural life we have found in southern Michigan. One thing I would like to bring up is the total devastating economic impact of this project on the properties immediately touching these projects. They carry all of the negatives with no financial benefit. A few landowners entering leases with Ranger Power are literally stealing from their neighbors. Whatever value an adjacent home will lose because of the proximity to the installation should be paid in full by the landowner out of their proceeds from Ranger Power. At first choice is no solar, but the second best is trying to make sure that neighbors don't share the unanticipated and unasked for burden by losing significant home value. It's wrong not to consider ways to compensate those that are the biggest losers in this equation. Realtors could put a real price tag on the drop in value from a home surrounded by rural landscape to one that is now undesirable because of the solar panels. I'm not one of these landowners, thankfully. Let's try to consider those that are. Please include this in the public record. Sincerely, Allison Hutchinson.
Thank you, Steve.
And I have a minute remaining, so I'm kind of curious as to who's going to be responsible for the ill effects of the health of the people around these solar panels, because there's a lot of them coming down with cancers and various things like that. Who's going to pay their medical bills when all this comes to their door? Thank you.
My name is Brett Owen.
I don't know if people have forgotten or if they're just, they don't want to do it. We can't obviously force the issue, but if you guys could please record your name down on that piece of paper. I've noticed the last
Oh,
people
okay.
haven't. It doesn't cut into your 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Brett Owen. I live at 1560 East Moore Road. I came to Hillsdale County with work almost 30 years ago. I'm not going to stand here and rehash all the negatives of these solar panels, solar field stuff. But I'd like to say a few words about why I stayed. I retired from a career where I could have gone anywhere in the state that I wanted to. I chose to stay here for my career
Even when I transferred around for work, I drove long distances away to other work sites, but I chose to make this my home. I got 2 little kids up here in the back that I want to raise here. I know Melissa Danford several meetings ago came up and said something similar. They're my neighbors across the street. There's nothing about these solar projects that is small town America. It's big city, it's government, not you guys. It's Lansing and above ramming things down our throat. And I love the landscape here. I grew up in a place in the Thumb. There was not a freeway in that county either. Hillsdale is real similar to that. Everybody knows their neighbor. I love to deer hunt. I love to turkey hunt. I love that I was driving down Mills Road the other day and watched the eagle swoop down in front of me and fly back off. I love to sit and just watch and listen to wildlife. And one thing I love more than the landscape here is the people. I love my neighbors. I love Nate Baker. I know Nate's on the other side of this issue. I refuse to have enemies over it. Nate, my older kids and Nate's kids went to school together. I don't want to see this rip apart a community. But outside of the money that a few landowners can make, there's nothing good that's going to come of this solar. You already drive west out of town, out of Jonesville, and you look at all that stuff out there. That's not what people come here for. My closest family is my parents, 5 hours away in Sheboygan. I stayed here because I like it. I love the landscape and I love my neighbors, and I know this community does not want to see this, and it's for darn good reason. So I also respect the horrible position you folks are in. I don't know that there's a lot of understanding of where you're at and the position you're in, but it's tough. But there's a bigger battle than all this, and let's not lose friendships and hate each other over it. But let's stand solid and don't let this come in. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else with comments right now? Otherwise, we'll proceed. Oops. Yep.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Hi, my name is Elise Allen, 1556 Moore Road. A couple of my neighbors have already been up here, Tony and Brett. I just was looking at the 2 items that were available on the picnic tables, and I'm noticing that there is a discrepancy on the second page of the Heartwood Solar Phase 2 letter that was addressed to you, Jane, I believe this one. On the second page in the first paragraph, it's stating that the proposed solar farm project utilizes 33 parcels, of which there are 11 different property owners. But on the special land use site plan review at the very bottom in the bulleted points, it mentions that there are 9 landowners with the 33 parcels. Has there been a change between this, where we have more individuals in our community that have been approached by Ranger Power to have solar panels on their property per se, or is this just a typo?
We can respond to that later when we
No
respond
problem.
to questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
Can I ask one quick question?
Sure. You got another minute and a half.
The one that says open, this is for the open public comment right now, correct? And then the public hearing is for later on's discussion? Okay,
That's correct.
thank you.
Michelle Gregory, Concord. Michelle Gregory, Concord. I just wanted to say really quick before we get into things. A wise man once said, "For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? I ask that you contemplate these words as we proceed through this meeting tonight, and thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Fred, and I'm from Reading. Fred. I'm here to tell everybody about the data centers that are going in all over our country. We have one going in down here by Clinton and Saline. That's going to be the largest data center in the state, if not this country. The data center capital is in Northern Virginia, right next door to Washington, D.C. If you think your telephones, your TVs, your cell phones, and your computers are private, there is nothing private in your life, let me tell you. All the research I've done, everything is out in the open. There's no secrets. So another little thing that I've been getting myself into lately has been the meetings in Hillsdale for our commissioners. Come to find out, we have like 3 board members on the commissioner board that are on Lifeway's board also. That is illegal, and they are accepting money. Another thing is this Lifeway's bond that's coming up on a vote. If they put the bond on the ballot and let you vote on it, it's not just about Lifeways in Hillsdale City. It's Lifeways in Hillsdale. Everybody gets a vote. So we did the research on how many homes there are. It's going to be $2,500 per home because they want $15.5 million for a building for this business. And it's up to this bond. If the bond passes, everybody in this county is going to give $2,500 over a period of time in their tax dollar. So vote, did they withdraw that?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you very much for that. So other than that, another thing is, come to find out this Lifeways, or not Lifeways, the data center capital in Northern Virginia cannot make enough power for them to run. So guess what? Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana they don't donate power to them, but they sell some of their power to them. Consumers, Detroit Edison, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a great opportunity for me to be in front of you once again, have an opportunity to address you in front of so many of my fellow citizens.
Your name, please?
My name is Lawrence Peter, and I live on Mills Road. I know we're going to get down to the weeds on this in the next go-around, but I just wanted to take a moment and maybe step up and talk about what's happening to our communities, our counties, our states, our countries, and it goes around the world. And you know, you don't have to be a weatherman to know what's going on and see which way the wind is blowing. I'll take you to Europe and to a place called Davos in Switzerland. And up until recently, there was a fellow there by the name of Klaus Schwab. And it's on the web, you can find it. He was quoted recently, about a year and a half ago. He says, "You will own nothing and like it. You will eat the bugs." He wanted us to all eat bugs in that protein-rich environment of grasshoppers. And you know, he's saying, well, what in the heck does that have to do with what we're doing down here? What it has to do is that we're in a position right now around the world, in our country, in our state, in our county, where people who are not native to those particular areas are trying to move us in certain ways and manners. And we've got a very specific case of that coming right here, where we're being told that this is good for the environment, this is good for this is good for that. But it's part of a great big movement which is supranational. And this isn't who we are. This isn't what we are. You know, we're people who, we're from the genetic stock that built this country, that settled this area in the early 1800s. Where this land was land granted in the 1830s and 1840s, where farms and homes were built. When you drive down the roads and you see Centennial Farms, and that sign itself has been weathered with age, you know that there's a lot here. And we need to preserve that. And people who come in, they fly by night, they get some subsidies, they want to jam us with some quick card, they want us to eat the bugs. And I don't want to eat the bugs. I'm a beef eater, I'm a meat eater, I'm not a plant eater, I'm not a bug eater. So I would ask you, please, think of who we are as we go through these deliberations. I hope to spend a little bit more time with you in the next section. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fayette Township. Well, I decided to tell a little bit of my story. I moved here about 4 years ago. I found a nice piece of property. My husband and I put a lot of sweat equity into it. My parents ended up buying the lot next door. I wanted my children to grow up in a farming community. I grew up in Livonia, which is a suburb of Detroit. I have been running from suburban sprawl my entire life. When I was 16, my first car, a Dodge Aries, I had to roll down the windows and turn the heat on in the summer because otherwise it would overheat. And I used to drive down the country roads right out of town in Northville and Salem. They were all farmlands, farm fields, houses scattered far away. Within several years, they were starting to bulldoze through all of that. The college I went to had a huge amount of property across the street. That was soon gone. And it just devastated me to see all this land taken. And instead of there being trees and farmland, it was houses, subdivision after subdivision, and every corner had businesses. And it just reminded me of where I grew up, and I didn't want that. So I kept leaving. Then we moved to Jackson. Jackson started to get busy. We moved out of the country for a while. We came back because I got pregnant with my first son and decided to settle in Michigan again. And we came to Hillsdale County area. This seemed like a really nice place. And the more I researched, the more I liked about it. We looked into zoning, and we specifically liked that the zoning was, you know, it was about having big pieces of property, so you weren't overcrowded. And my husband called and talked to Alfred, and the first thing Alfred said to him was, "No pot." And my husband said, "Great. We don't want to live in a community where there's pot growing all around us." So here we are, and it's very disappointing that all of a sudden there's industrialization coming, because I feel like it's happening again. And I'm really tired of it, and I don't want this community to be destroyed. But there is one good thing that's come out of this, is I've met a lot of people. I was living an anonymous life. I liked my anonymous life where I could just go quietly to the store, come back home. I'm not an outgoing person. I'm not on social media. I like to just be quiet and keep to myself and mind my own business. But here I am talking over and over about solar, and I hope that you would really think about what you're doing and make the right decision and save this community, because all of you who grew up here don't realize how good you have it. Drive to Wayne County and see how horrible it is when you have to sit there in traffic to go a few miles and you're waiting 15 minutes to go that. It's not fun. So please do the right thing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Mayer. I live on top of the hill on Jonesville Road that overlooks the first solar project. And I have a huge living room window, and I like to look out at it and look at all the property. I can see all the way to US 12. Now when the sun shines, there's a huge glare, and I have to pull my curtain down. It's not right. that I can't even enjoy to look out my living room window because the glare is so bright, it blinds me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew Danford. My name is Andrew Danford. I live in Fayette Township. I speak for my 5 brothers and, in this case, my father. Whenever you vote on this, I hope each of you remember that you can say no to this application and that you should. The people have been very clear on this and they have given you many justifications why you should say no to more solar. If you say no, we can and likely will win at the state level. 26% of our farmland in industrial solar is completely unreasonable. I hope you do the right thing. If the commission approves this application, we will remember who voted to approve it every single time we drive by those solar panels. If you vote against approving, we will be thankful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Steve Leskowitz, Fayette Township. Giving me 2 chances to speak, I might as well use it. Their flyer that they circulated early on and continue to circulate talks about tax revenue. So these panels are considered personal property, which meaning that the vast majority of that tax revenue is going to be personal property tax. That's split between the state, the county, and the schools, and the scraps that are left over come back to this township to the tune of less than 6 digits a year. They also talk about jobs. You know, I've been kind of at the center of this conversation since they knocked on my neighbor's door, my father-in-law's door. And I have yet to meet a single person that knows a single person that is working on any one of these projects around here. These are not local jobs. They talk about these endorsement letters. Heartwood One endorsement letters are all written by people who were under contract to gain revenue off of the land if the program got approved, or sold land to Ranger Power. So those I consider bought and paid for. Heartwood 2 endorsements are not very much different, except it's not a single individual landowner in those endorsement letters. The first one that comes to mind is the sheriff thanking them for their $211,000 donation. The second one is the schools thanking them for the $30,000 in grants. The next is the library thanking them for their money. And then the Rotary Club thanking them for giving money to the schools. And then the Hillsdale Community Foundation thanking them for the endowment they've promised if and when these projects get off the ground. In fact, there's a problem with the Hillsdale Community Foundation's thank you letter. There's a problem with the endorsement video that they had on their websites showing them loading the back of a truck with Ranger Power and talking about all the great things. That puts their 501 status in jeopardy because they are now endorsing something that they are not supposed to. In addition to that, they are in the process of drafting a letter of cease and desist to them for using their thank you letter as propaganda in these statements. They also talk about decommissioning and that they're going to restore the land. They're filling in valleys, scraping the tops of hills off, and wiping out, in first Heartwood, over 100 acres, and nearly 40 in the second one. They promised $22 to $24 a panel, 40 years from now, for panels that will be at the end of their useful life. The current value for an equivalent panel is around $80, and that's in a high-demand market with 10-year-old panels that are literally in a high-demand market. What's going to happen when every single one of these projects going in around the country right now are all decommissioned at the same time? They are not going to be worth $24 a piece.
Thank you, Steve.
Since we have 2 time periods, I have several friends who could not come this evening and gave me what they want to be read into the record. Do you need my name first?
If you could, please.
Okay.
Yes, thank
Are
you.
you using up your time or
time just stopped. Go ahead and do the type of the names, please.
Thank you. My name is Beth.
Sam,
What?
did you want to give us the names or not?
The names.
Oh, yes, okay. Elizabeth Schleter is the first, and she's a resident in city of Hillsdale. Paula Karlovich is a resident in Fayette Township, and Kelly Cole is Cambria Township. Karlovich. And I'll give you these letters. Okay. The first one. Please vote down the approval for this project. It is unfair that in order for some to profit off their land through a Chicago-based corporation, the rest of our community must suffer the serious economic, environmental, aesthetic, and agricultural costs. It is unfair for rural areas to bear this burden. Our community, your larger constituency, does not want this. Please do the right thing and vote no. That one's from Elizabeth and Nathan Schleter and their family. Carla. The next one is from Paul and Paula Karlovich. My husband and I are vehemently opposed to the proposed solar farm. Please include our comment in the public record. And the third, I'm unable to make tonight's meeting, but wanted to write and have it recorded as a Hillsdale County resident that I'm opposed to the Heartwood Solar 2 project being approved for implementation in Fayette Township. I do not believe that this project is in the best interest of our community now or for future generations. I encourage the Planning Commission to deny Ranger Power's requested special land use permit. Thank you.
CJ Toncray. I am not only concerned about this, but my biggest concern is we had the meeting and when we were able to ask some questions, and I asked about documentation and statistics on the land that gets returned. There isn't any. All of my children were born in Idaho, and I've talked to some friends out there, and what they're finding out for the panels that were put in years ago is that the land is unusable. They cannot bake or grow potatoes on the land that where the solar panels were supposedly at and be returned. And so not only are we concerned about what we have to deal with today, property tax values going down, all of the other things, but the biggest thing is what are we handing to our children and our grandchildren? What? They have no proof. We get a really good marketing plan. Sounds great. All the wonderful things that they're going to do and they're going to benefit the community. What we don't know is what it's going to do to the land. And if they're removing the topsoil, if they're changing the ecosystem, do you really want, I mean, you guys probably won't be around when it gets to that point, but your children won't and your grandchildren won't. And I think you need to really consider that because the amount of land that they're trying to do this to is unbelievable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to say, sorry. You say something? I'm not a speech
can't make speeches very well, and I hope people can understand. I've had Parkinson's and I had 3 strokes, so please bear with me. My question was, I don't know you people. Are you the board for the township?
They are the township.
Okay. I was going to ask you a question. My son not told me I'd ask you because you wasn't going to answer it anyway. But are you for this project? Okay, you're not going to answer that. Because we, as residents, we pay our taxes and we vote you people in to take care of us, to represent us. And you seem like you're representing another it seems like you're representing them on this project. And it's not going to benefit us, it's going to Ohio. So why don't they can do this in Ohio? Ohio don't want it, so they take it to Michigan? Just so that a few people can benefit from this. The majority of the people don't want it.
99.9%.
That should be that simple.
I can't wait till they get up here, because I hear they're going to be up there too. Maybe they'll answer the question.
Thank you, George.
But you see what it's done, the stuff that they're going to put down on the ground, you see what it does. Medically, they think that this Parkinson's is because of the stuff that they're putting on the fields.
Right.
You want to live like this?
Hi, my name is George Timmerman. Met my father. I just want to remind the board, we've had this in Hillsdale County before. Power company that came in over in Litchfield. Where is it today? It's no longer here. Polluted the St. Joe's River. Fined by the EPA. And they're promising what? That everything will be okay with the land? They'll take care of it? Yeah, we heard it before. Thank you.
Just got a couple questions. Have you guys found a clerk yet? Have you been looking for a clerk?
Your name, please.
I'm not going to give my name. So this whole issue has brought up other issues and consequences to now you can't find a clerk. And what's going to happen when you can't find the next seat and the next seat? Are we going to have the county government running the entire area, or the state government, or just the federal government? Like, are we going to keep things local, or are we going to keep pissing everybody off and they're not even going to want to be in your position to begin with? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Evening. First off, Ranger Danger, that's what I call this. It's hard enough on the rest of us looking at what we have to look for out of a governor, Gretchen as we name her. And we have problems. We don't have a governor here, but what she's done is supported this kind of stuff. Throughout our Michigan state, she's always propagandized that she's going to make the Michiganders as if she's the mother of people. She's not. She's not even close. She shouldn't be running for another position. Never should be. But we are looking down the road here. We've got people in this community and other communities that want to conserve Michigan. Conserve Michigan the best way we know how. That's our lakes, that's our rivers, that's our lands. And taking this Ranger Danger coming into play back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, the first time of the satellite system and the way that they were going to organize how to take over people that don't have much. How much are we gonna go up against? Now, this deal about having this Ranger Danger come into play here with these solar panels, we've got roughly 346 that we knew of aliens that came here into Hillsdale. Only 2 have been arrested. The payoff was to the sheriff. That was, I mean, I can't believe this crap. I'm astounded by half of what's happening here. We may have these people, I don't even think they even know what it means to actually have a welcoming conservation where you can go out and just settle down, go out fishing, go out hunting. I don't think they know anything. All they know is we've got a job, we're making big money, and we can do what we want to do. Because these people here are our community, and they are dividing every one of us. And you guys do have a hard job. But our county commissioners are also involved here. So the planning commission needs to be looked at as well. How many commissioners are going to get involved with this, and how many payoffs are there? How many ones that we don't know about? I don't know. But frankly, people putting their names down on this, putting their names up there, are already going to be targeted. So again, please be careful about what you're trying to do, and be careful. These people are loved by others. So please, keep it up.
Good job, Bob.
Thank you.
People will be turned. Thank you. Said it, then we'll be going into the public. Oop. Did you want to speak, sir? 2 of you. Okay.
Good evening. My name's Tom Lennox. I live in Scipio Township and just outside of Fayette Township. I know a lot of people that's in this city and in this township, and it's going to take a little longer than 3 minutes, because let me tell you, I went through this, and I'll be the first one to admit, did I screw up? Hell yeah, I did, because I did not know exactly what I was getting into, other than I knew that this company come to me. I have a cell tower that sits in my pasture. Am I proud of it? Now? Hell no. Because I was looking at my neighbors. They were going to go to my neighbors if I didn't. So I'd have been looking at it out my bedroom window. These cell towers aren't what everybody's thinking they are. Everybody thinks that they're for their phones and that. Let me tell you people, I know for a fact what these cell towers are. And they change them all the time. And it's 5G. Well, let me tell you, like I said, I don't have enough time to explain everything. But I would just like, I'm not here to piss anybody off. On either side, I know these people, they've got concerns, and I'm glad they have concerns, because I wish at the time that I had that opportunity for somebody to help me. I'm the guy that has the buffalo, and I have other animals there. And it really hurt me after they put that cell tower up, and then I had somebody make a comment, it looks like shit. Here you have buffalo around the cell tower. Well, I can tell you, it sank in after that. I was very, very upset with myself because I did that. Because number one, it was more greed because of the money. Not realizing that my neighbors was kind of, one of my neighbors was pushing me into this, and I never even thought about it. But all I can say is, I hope you people check into this further, and don't let these companies just come in, because they're going to promise you the world. They did me. They did me.
What they do, not
Thank you.
let me tell you what. They,
That's your 3 minutes, but you can have more time during the public hearing.
Did a good job. Don't take a job.
Hello, I'm John DeBacher, retired dairy farmer. We used to work about 1,000 acres just north of Jonesville.
You can write your name down, let's go into your time.
Okay. And I spoke a while back about what farms generate in the local community as far as money goes. And I was just talking to a farmer behind me because I've been out of planting crops for a while, and it's between $700 and $800 an acre just to plant a field of corn. All that money, or the majority of it, is coming right back into this community. It's buying tractors, it's buying fertilizer, sprays, employing people. What are these generating per acre, per money? Nobody seems to really know, but I know that the farmers that are working that land love this community more than that solar company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that looks like it's it. We will go into the public hearing, and I think most of you probably have the agenda, either yourselves or somebody close to you. But for those who do not, first we will have presentation by Ranger, and then by Fleece and Vandenbrink, who is the engineering firm who reviewed the application by Ranger. And then we will have just a review of a report from Carla Workman, because Doug Luan, and these are planning consultants that deal with zoning. So we'll review that because Doug was not able to be here. Then we will have public comment. The reason for having the comment at that point is because that's when you can list your questions, you can give your comments about what they've presented. We will try to write down your questions as accurately as possible and try to get them answered tonight, unless the folks who are supposed to answer just don't have that material at their fingertips tonight. Okay?
Are these the executive type, or are these the same people?
They will introduce themselves. Okay?
You didn't answer that either.
They will I don't know their status.
Thank you, sorry.
All right? So, then we'll close the public hearing. Then the next steps would be the planning commission to have some deliberation. We will be able to ask questions of the presenters, of Ranger, of the planning commission. Yes, right? We'll deliberate and ask some questions as well. And we will try to get your questions answered. In fact, those questions that have been asked already, some of the representatives from Ranger and or Fleece and Vandenbrink may be answering when they give their presentation. Okay? So we'll open the public hearing, and we'll turn it over to Ranger to make their presentation of their application.
We ask that everybody be respectful during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the time to share some information on the application and updates that we've made to the application since we last presented here and discussed that information. So the main components that I wanted to go over today are going to be the application, and I'll share intros in just a second.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Brady Friss, Development Manager. How about now? Good? So my name is Brady Friss, Development Manager with Ranger Power, and I've been doing development work for a number of years here I'm joined by some colleagues here going kind of down the line. We have Mike here with Dickinson Wright, our counsel on the project. He's been doing work on these projects for around 15 years and has a wealth of experience. Next up, we have Sean Harris. He's our Senior Vice President of Development. Again, he has been doing development work for almost 9 years at this point, and I would say there are very few people that know more about this industry than he does. And at the end of the line, we have Ernest with Atwell. He is our environmental consultant on the project and has done a lot of the in-depth environmental review on this project and the mitigation of any environmental impacts. So on the application, again, the overview that I wanted to run through are kind of how we've gotten here to date. From our initial application back in December, the updates that we've made to bring it into compliance with the compatible renewable energy ordinance that has been worked on for the past number of months and has since been adopted and made effective. As many folks know, we first applied back in December of 2025.
So we didn't know that.
And that application was in line with the current zoning ordinance at the time. Given that there have been additional ordinance requirements adopted, we've worked to update our application to bring it into compliance and additionally address feedback that we've heard being in attendance at these meetings for the past number of months. So I want to run through some of the components that we've added to our application to bring it into compliance with the compatible renewable energy ordinance that was adopted. One of the first things was the agency coordination exhibit. This is brand new. There's been a lot of concern around obviously making sure that this land is conserved and any development work is done responsibly. We wholeheartedly agree with that, and we go through all of the required channels to receive input from these agencies. Just a handful that we have spoken to and received their input on our project design, any potential environmental impacts, and the general design of the project. We've talked to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, DNR, Department of Environment and Great Lakes and Energy, the Hillsdale County Clerk, Michigan Department of Ag and Rural Development, Jonesville Fire Department, and the Hillsdale County Drain Commissioner. Next, we talked to the alternative. We worked through an alternatives exhibit. This exhibit goes through why we cite the project where we do. Why are we proposing it where we are, and what do we look for when we are citing these projects and ultimately progressing the development of the project. Next, we had a new exhibit, the Dark Skies Plan. This addresses a commitment to mitigate any light and apply the Dark Sky International's 5 principles for dark sky lighting. And the exhibit overall addresses our plan to comply with the Township ordinance. Our decommissioning plan is one that we applied with back in December, but given there have been updated requirements, we updated our decommissioning plan to do the same. And I would just like to note that our decommissioning plan actually goes above and beyond what the compatible renewable energy ordinance standards require. There's no phasing of the security posting, and we've committed to posting 100% of the decommissioning estimate minus that scrap and salvage value as proposed in the plan at the start of construction, as opposed to a 25%, 50%, 100% phasing schedule. Another new exhibit has been the emergency response plan. This is a detailed plan to discuss emergency response planning, mitigation, and contacts. Overall, it's an overview of the consultation and coordination with relevant emergency management offices, as well as a summary of project safety and emergency management plans and procedures. We additionally did a fire response plan that goes over similar plans and procedures that are specifically related to fire response. One of the other ones that we've updated was the environmental impact assessment. This is an overall impact assessment that goes beyond environmental, but that is one of the main things that we bolstered in our updates. The impact assessment as a whole addresses natural features, stormwater management, surrounding land uses, public facilities and services, public utilities, and traffic. But we heard comments at recent meetings around concerns with bald eagles, the club shell mussel, Indiana bat, and other TAS.
Please.
So we've also gone through other threatened and endangered species, and that is a long process that it takes to make sure we mitigate any impacts and avoid any impacts. As a whole, we do our consultation with the appropriate agencies. We also do reference to the state and federal databases, and then we field survey those areas. So all of those go into our mitigation of impacts and how we plan our project responsibly. I mentioned the fire response plan already, but a few other components that were new were stormwater assessments. These came from obviously communication with the Hillsdale County Drain Commission and mitigation, plans to mitigate, repair, and maintain, and how we look to do that if there are any impacts, which we plan around and we plan to be minimal. As far as the final site plan updates, we updated the plan to comply with setbacks that were adopted in the CREO. Our initial plan had setbacks that were in accordance with the previous zoning ordinance and met the first phase project requirements. With this updated CREO, we increased setbacks for non-participating residents to 300 feet, 50 feet for non-participating property lines, and 50 feet for road right-of-ways per the zoning ordinance that was adopted and made effective. We also put together a signal mitigation plan that puts input on how any kind of signals interference are mitigated, and for our projects, they do not typically affect any kind of signals. In summary, ultimately, we have updated this application to bring it into compliance with the current zoning ordinance, and these exhibits are an example of that. We have also been happy to go above and beyond what some of these requirements are in the case of decommissioning plan and any others. I did just want to highlight, kind of to end, a few of the benefits of these projects. It's been referenced that these projects don't bring benefits to the community, and I think we understand that these projects are a large change at the time and can be a difference. And what we oftentimes want to do is make sure that there are benefits happening in the community at the time of our development, as many of the benefits that come from these projects, such as increased tax revenue, jobs, come at the time of construction and throughout the lifespan of operations. So we've given, through our grant program, $35,000 to Jonesville Community Schools, right in this very school, in the elementary school and middle school. Teachers are able to award. Teachers are able to award.
Dennis, if you can't be quiet while other people speak, you're going to have to leave. This is a whole big project, and so we need to hear from them as well. How many times have we heard from you over the last 4 months?
Not near as many. How much fun do you take it out of my land, out of my property,
this is
out
twice.
of our community?
Dennis,
Officer, we want you to be able to stay here. We want everybody to be able to stay here. I understand your upset. People don't want it, you know that. Sir?
People don't want it.
I understand that.
All right,
We want him to be able to stay here and participate, and we can't have him disrupting the public meeting. I
Why don't you give him more than 3 minutes?
I understand he's upset, okay? We
Why
want
don't
him
you
to
give
be
him
able
more
to
than 3
stay.
minutes?
I can't answer that question.
You can't answer that, but you told everybody else you got 3 minutes.
Brady, continue, please.
as I was saying, we've given through the grant endowment fund over $35,000, and that's directly to Jonesville community teachers. They apply through a grant program in ways that they feel they can empower and better the lives of their students, hundreds, thousands of students that are coming through the halls of these schools. And by applying for these grants, we've been able to fund tons of projects that have, as I said, benefited these students year over year, and that will be continuing to happen through the endowment fund that is set up with the Hillsdale County Community Foundation. On the tax revenue front, we additionally submit a tax impact memorandum. This looks at the millage rates in the area and how our project is taxed and the taxable value that is estimated on this project. This project alone is estimated to bring in almost $20 million of property tax revenue over the next 40 years. And while that is split between different jurisdictions, it allows for the benefits to roads, schools, libraries, township operating funds, county operating funds, and ultimately can provide a lot of extra room and opportunity for growth for those receiving agencies or organizations. And when combined with our first phase project, the estimated tax revenue between both would be well north of $35 million. And we work as a whole. Anytime that we can contract local labor, we will do our best to contract that local labor and provide work for folks that are in the community, whether it's on construction, working on any kind of local landscaping, all sorts of things. We are all ears to folks that are in the community and that are able to work on these projects, and we look to do that every time. And just as a last point, these projects are completely voluntary. We don't have eminent domain. These are landowners that have farmed their property for years and generations, and they feel that this is the best use of their private property, participating in this project, and that this is the best use and decision for their farm, their business, and their family, and ultimately the land that they care about more than anybody else. And so as a whole, this is a temporary land use that is removed at the end of its lifespan through our decommissioning plan with those figures added. And there are many benefits that we see these projects bringing communities that they're built in. So again, I appreciate the time and appreciate the opportunity to be able to share this information.
Thank you. Do you have other speakers speaking tonight, or?
Not on the Ranger side now.
Okay, okay. Shane Peterson from Fleece Van and Brink.
Good evening. I'm going to start off and just lay it out there. I am a third-party consultant. I have no skin in the game one way or the other. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. And my name is Shane Peterson. I'm a professional engineer licensed in the state of Michigan, and I work for Fleece and Van Brink out of Grand Rapids. And I'll keep it short and sweet because I know some folks have gotten a little bit frustrated with long-winded response, so I'll just give a quick summary. Good evening. I'm here to summarize the engineering review of the Heartwood Solar Farm Phase 2 Special Land Use Permit application. Fleece and Van Brink was retained by the township to conduct a full review of the 1,015-acre project proposed by Ranger Power, which spans 33 parcels on the east side of Fayette Township. Construction is expected to begin in 2027, with operations starting in 2028, and a projected 40-year lifespan. Overall, our review found that the application largely is complete, but identified several areas that require clarification or revision before final approval or deliberation. These include missing site plan details, such as road right-of-way width, existing structure dimensions, grading plans, and clear vegetative buffer locations. The township may also want stronger requirements for landscape screening along non-participating residential properties. Additional updates are needed to ensure consistency between the plans and the special land use application checklist, including setback distances, floodplain mapping, and grading terminology. The township should also request more detail on traffic safety measures, parking dimensions, stormwater design, and the water service that is proposed to the operation and maintenance building. Several project documents require some follow-up. The operation and maintenance plan, the generator interconnection agreement, once approved, and additional detail in the decommissioning plan, particularly regarding the labor cost assumptions and responsibility for removal costs. Importantly, none of the identified issues rise to the level of recommending denial. Instead, the review suggests that conditional approval could be granted provided the applicant addresses the listed items. The township may also want to request a pre-construction video to document the road conditions and the land conditions consider requiring a revised submission for final review. In short, the project is viable, but several technical and administrative details must be resolved to ensure full compliance with the township ordinances. Thank you.
When did they retain you? Can you give us a date?
Thank you, Shane. Okay, Seth is going to review the report that we had from Carlisle Workman and give a summary of that report. And a lot of you, again, have a copy of this report. We made about 60 copies today, so we tried to get a lot out there.
So my name is Seth Coaches. I'm special counsel to Fayette Township. I'm assisting them processing this application for the Planning Commission. You just heard from Shane. The township did engage Fleece and Vandenbrink to provide an engineering review of the application, which is very common for these types of applications because unless there's an engineer sitting on a PC, we're not engineers, so we need to have that opinion. Secondly, the township did engage Carlisle Workman. They're a planning consultant firm that's located in Ann Arbor. They did prepare a staff report which was made available to the public. As Jane said, I think there was either 50 or 60 copies made, so hopefully a lot of you were able to get one or to at least review one with a neighbor. So Carlisle Workman is not here tonight, and I did receive a copy of this updated report, but I did receive a copy of that today. So I'm going to do my best to summarize it because I didn't prepare it and I didn't do a zoning review of this project. So to begin, Carlisle Workman's report states that the purpose of the project and site description is for a 140 megawatt solar project within 1,054 acres. So moving on, I'm going to go to page 2. And what page 2 is the required special land use submission information. So in every zoning ordinance, there's going to be a section that addresses special land uses. And those are land uses that could be approved, but an applicant has to go through the Planning Commission for that approval. And that's what we're here for tonight. Rangers submitted an application and they need approval, which requires a public hearing, and that's what this is now. So section 14.02 of the zoning ordinance discusses general special land use application requirements. So when Rangers submits an application, this gets turned over to Carlisle Workman, and then they go through the zoning ordinance and look at section 14.02 to see what the application requirements are, and then see whether or not the application contains all of the information it needs to under the zoning ordinance. And there are quite a bit of application requirements. They run from page 2 through page 9. And
Fading out, if you don't mind.
I'll move close to the microphone.
Bring it.
Okay. All right. And if everybody can't hear me, just raise your hand. Yeah. So just to restate what I said, in section 14.02, it sets forth the application standards that any special land use application needs to include when they apply to the township. So just to repeat so everybody could hear, when Rangers submitted their application, Carlisle Wortman reviews section 14.02 to confirm that the application that was submitted meets all the requirements contained in section 14.02. And as I said, there's a lot of standards. It runs from page 2 through page 9 of that staff report. So I'm going to do my best to run through it, because as I said, I received this report this afternoon, so I had limited time to review all of it in a way that I can present to you since Carlisle Wortman is not present. So under substandard 14.02.1, a completed application form is provided by the community, and what they're saying here is part of the application, each of the owners of the participating parcels, what they need to do is they need to confirm that the applicant may apply on their behalf. So what Carlisle Wortman is asking for is to provide those letters authorizing Ranger to apply for special land use and site plan approval for their projects on their property. In other words, because Ranger doesn't own those properties, we need to make sure that the property owners are actually granting Ranger the authority to submit an application for their project, which, if approved, would be constructed on their parcels. Secondly, Ranger is required to provide 12 copies of the site plan, which they did. Third, they need to include an impact assessment if that's required by the Planning Commission. And Carlisle Wortman notes that a separate impact analysis was provided by the applicant. They do have more details on that in their staff report, but the comment was made that that assessment was submitted. Payment of required fees. The township verified that the escrow to process this application has been submitted and maintained by Ranger. What that means is it's when an applicant comes, especially a project of this size, there's obviously a lot that goes into the review, so the Planning Commission can make an informed decision. And that's not coming from the township's general fund, it's not coming from your township. We're not paying to process, the township's not paying taxpayer money, the applicant has to pay for the township to process their application in the way we feel is in the best interest, which again is engaging an engineering consultant and a planning consultant. Moving through here, I'm on page 3. The application needs to contain the complete name, address, and telephone number of the applicant, which was provided. There has to be a planned date of the start of construction, which was provided, but Carlisle Wortman does require or recommends a condition that if there is an approval, that there be a development agreement that gets into much more specifics of how construction occurs and when that occurs. Development agreements are separately executed contracts between a developer and a township board, so the Planning Commission would be involved in preparing, reviewing, or executing the development agreement. Next, a description of the energy facility, including a site plan, and that requirement has been met. A description of the expected use of the energy facilities, which is a solar project. The comment's a brief description of how the project will be used, and Carlisle Wortman confirmed that that standard is met. Expected public benefits. Carlisle Wortman has their comment about expected benefits, but on my end, when I ask how that's interpreted, that's a question for the Planning Commission. So on the application level, Carlisle Wortman checked the box saying that their proposed expected public benefits was contained in their application, so that standard for the application is approved. But the Planning Commission, once they get into deliberations, they decide any expected benefits, if any, from the project. So I just need to make that clarification. 7, on page 4, for those following along, the direct impacts of the proposed energy facility on the environment and natural resources, and how the applicant intends to address and mitigate these impacts. Carlisle Wortman points to the impact assessment that was submitted in the application. They concluded that they do not find the clear totals of wetland impacts, if any, acres of woodland clearing, and the exact site distribution footprint these total acreage should be provided for review. So that they're saying more information needs to be provided by the applicant into the application to satisfy that standard. As it relates to the impact analysis, that again is going to be discussed substantively by the Planning Commission to make determinations regarding impact. Carlisle Wortman, once again, is just looking for whether that information was submitted to satisfy the application standard. They do go ahead and regarding the impacts suggest several conditions for the Planning Commission to consider, and those are discussed in parens A through E. Moving down to number 8, information on effects of proposed energy facility. This is where they talk about noise, glare, air quality, and traffic, and Carlisle Wortman recommended certain conditions before start of construction if there's approval, and those are contained on page 5 of their report. It's parens A through J. To highlight some of these, they asked for an emergency response plan to be reviewed. They asked that all local fire authorities who would be either contracted or who would respond to an emergent situation at the site be consulted, that there's a construction safety plan, that there is an approved haul route plan for during construction, that there's noise levels do not exceed those identified, to minimize glare, to ensure stormwater runoff does not adversely impact adjacent properties, provide procedures for handling and disposal of any hazardous materials, so designate local contact for complaints related to noise, glare, and safety. That's a complaint resolution process. Moving on to number 9. The description of the portion of the community where the energy facility will be located. So again, this is the description. The application is asking, in other words, you need to tell us where this proposed project would go. And because they essentially submitted a site plan that depicts where they want their project to go, Carlisle Wortman concluded that that informational requirement was met. A statement that reasonable evidence that the proposed energy facility will not commence commercial operation until it complies with applicable state and federal and environmental laws. Carlisle Wortman reviewed the application and recommends several conditions, which are discussed on page 6 at the top, paren A, that they're asking that the township would receive all applicable federal, state, and local permits and approvals, and confirm that they've been obtained and complied with. Number 11, evidence of consultation before submission of the application with the Department, with Eagle, and other relevant state and federal agencies before submitting the application. Carlisle Wortman comments that that requirement has been met, but they would recommend a following condition. That prior to construction, the applicant shall provide documentation of all applicable state and federal agency approvals, including but not limited to Eagle, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, to demonstrate compliance with those environmental regulations. Soil and Economic Survey Report. Carlisle Wortman, they did provide a comment that typically requires a formal soil economic survey that evaluates agricultural productivity and economic impact of farmland conservation. Conversion thing. Specifically, while the report provides details of soil classification data, it does not include the economic analysis of agricultural productivity, farmland conversion impacts, or the role of the subject property within the local agricultural community. While the report contains a thorough soil analysis, it does not evaluate the economic implications of converting approximately 1,015 acres of farmland out of production, including impacts on ag productivity, the local farm economy, or long-term land use. Carlisle Wortman requests that the report be expanded upon to include these economic impacts of agricultural land conversion. Interconnection queue information for the applicable regional transmission organization. Carla Wortman states that based on Appendix K of the application, the applicant has provided adequate interconnection queue information as required. Moving on to page 7, paragraph 14. If the proposed site of the energy facility is undeveloped land, a description of feasible alternative developed locations, including but not limited to vacant industrial property in brownfields, and an explanation of why they were not chosen. Carlisle Wortman said that the applicant did provide an explanation of the reasoning behind the proposed site, and that informational requirement was met regarding their application, or the completeness of their application. Number 15, if the energy facility is reasonably expected to have an impact on TV signals, microwave symbols, agricultural global GPS, military defense radar, etc., and shall not be disclosed to the commission or the electric provider or independent power producer except pursuant to a court order. So that one's a little confusing to read through, but what Carlisle Wortman concludes is that they recommend the following condition. In event that a facility causes interference with TV signals, radio reception, or GPS systems, or other communication systems, the applicant shall investigate and implement appropriate mitigation measures at no cost to the affected property owners. Number 16 talks about a stormwater assessment and a plan to minimize, mitigate, and repair any drainage impacts. But Carlisle Wortman stated that their finding was that the stormwater information has been provided, but they deferred to technical review of this item to the township engineering consultant, which is Fleeson Vanderbrink. Number 17 is a fire response plan. Carlisle Wortman commented that the applicant has demonstrated with local emergency services, but has not submitted a formal fire response plan as part of the application materials. What they state is prior to issuing any building permit, that the applicant submits a fire emergency response plan for review and approval by the Township Fire Department and any mutual aid departments. Moving on to page 8, it's a similar comment regarding emergency response plans. Number 19 addresses decommissioning plans. As they stated that they would be submitting a decommissioning bond for the life of the project in the amount of 100% minus the salvage value, and they do state in the decommissioning plan that they would review, or Carlisle Wortman recommends that the decommissioning cost estimate is going to be reviewed and updated every 5 years. The reason for that recommendation is it would address inflation. Moving on to page 9 of their report, talks about sound modeling. And there is a sound study that has been required, and it was pre-construction noise analysis for the project, which does fall within ordinance standards. But also too, what we typically want, what's typically recommended, is that there's post-construction sound testing to make sure that there is continued compliance with sound requirements. 21, which is the last standard here, talks about dark sky friendly lighting conditions, and Carlisle Wortman concludes that this type of light that the applicant presents is not dark skies compliant and should be removed, and recommended that all exterior lighting shall be downward directed, fully shielded, and designed to minimize light spill and glare onto adjacent property owners and the night sky. So those are the application standards that Carlisle Wortman went through. The next step that they do is they do special land use review and submit findings or recommendations to the Planning Commission. And there's going to be general special land use standards which apply to every type of application. And those are contained in section 14.04 of the zoning ordinance. A synopsis of those standards begin on page 9 and conclude on page 12. For Parent A, a lot of these standards are more general, and they talk about compatibility, and then the ordinance that the township adopted was more specific to this type of project. So I think I'll quickly summarize the general special land use standards. Under Parent A, the use is designed and constructed and will be operated and maintained so as to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, will be compatible with adjacent uses of land, and will not change the essential character of the area in which it is proposed. So during the review process, during the deliberations of the Planning Commission needs to review that standard, discuss it, and make a finding. Carlisle Wortman did provide about a page and a half of comment on that, but I think at this time, I'm just going to summarize what the initial standard is. And because this report was received by me today, the direction would be that the Planning Commission really needs to review the report to make sure that they understand every aspect of it. Moving on to page 11, Print B, the use is or will be as a result of a special land use permit served adequately by public services and facilities, including but not limited to streets, police, fire protection, drainage structures, refuse disposal, and schools. Adequate water and sewer facilities must be available. Again, that's a general standard that the Planning Commission is going to review during deliberations and then make a finding. Parent C, the use does not involve activities, processes, materials, and equipment or conditions of operation that will be detrimental to any person's property or general welfare by reasons of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, and odors. Again, that's another standard that the Planning Commission is going to have to discuss during deliberations. Parent D, the use will be compatible with the natural environment and will be designed to encourage conservation of natural resources and energy. Moving on page 12, it's Parent E. The site plan proposed for such use demonstrates compliance with specific design standards for special land use contained in section 14.09. So those are the general special land use standards that whenever the Planning Commission enters deliberation, they're going to have to review each and every one and discuss what they hear, the application, and make a finding for each standard. Secondly, what Carlisle Wortman commented on CREO review comments, that begins on page 12 and concludes on page 13. So these parts of the CREO review comments, that relates more to the zoning ordinance amendment that was adopted recently by the Township Board. I think it went into effect on or around April 8th or 9th. So what it discusses setbacks, and the report provides a table which is essentially a copy and paste from the ordinance itself. And what the planning consultant does is it reviews what the setback standards are, and then it looks at the site plan and are they satisfied or are they not satisfied. During their review, Carlisle Wortman determined that the setbacks are met for the project. Next, it talks about fencing for the solar energy facility, and Carlisle Wortman concluded that the fencing details have been provided on the site plan and appear acceptable. Height requirements, Carlisle Wortman concluded that the solar panel components do not exceed the maximum height of 25 feet, and that the maximum height on their application showed 15 feet. Turning over to page 12. The solar energy facility does not generate a maximum sound in excess of 55 average hourly decibels as modeled at the nearest outer wall of the nearest dwelling located on the adjacent non-participating parcel. Carlisle Wortman's comments is the project is designed to generate low noise levels below the maximum 55 dBA. They state that the project impact assessment indicates the generation of approximately 30 to 48 dBA. Carlisle Wortman recommends that ongoing compliance and mitigation strategies be provided by the applicant. Then the last standard here, it does talk about the solar energy facility will implement dark sky friendly lighting solutions. Carlisle Wortman states that lighting details are provided in the application, but it's not clear where these lights are to be located on their site plan. Location, and they conclude that the location and height of all fixtures should be provided. Some additional comments that Carlisle Wortman made was details including building heights of all proposed structures should be provided. In addition to the building details, they're recommending that detailed description of the laydown yard should be provided. And the laydown yard is generally where all all infrastructure materials are placed during construction. Carl Worman found that a draft community host agreement, they did not find a draft community host agreement within the application, and that needs to be submitted. Regarding the final zoning review of this application regarding special land use site plan review, based on the comments above, we do not recommend special land use and site plan approval at this time. We do not believe that the applicant has demonstrated full compliance with all applicable ordinance standards. The applicant should revise and resubmit the application addressing each of the comments of this review, including information needed to reduce the number of conditions listed. So this summarizes the application, or the staff report of Carlisle Wortman that reviewed Ranger's application. So I wasn't involved in this review process, so I really don't have any comments to add. It's just, I'm just summarizing the report for the commission and for the public. So I don't have anything additional from here. The planning commission could decide how to proceed from here. Some planning commissions will ask follow-up questions of the applicant. You can do that. You could go right to the public comment portion of the public hearing. It's really in your discretion.
Anybody on the commission have any questions to ask the applicant at this point? Okay, then we would go into public comment, and it is a 3-minute time limit again, but you can ask your questions. We will document them, like I try to document them as well as we can and try to get answers if we can tonight, and if not, we will make sure we try to get them in. If there's something that either the engineering firm or Ranger needs more time to respond to, we'll try to get them in the future. Okay, when you're ready.
Randy Schmidt, Fayette Township. Two reasons to put a halt or stop to this project. The first has to do with the Public Act itself, 233, Section 226, Section 7, Paragraph F reads, the proposed energy facility will not unreasonably diminish farmland. We have been harping on this same thing over and over again. And I haven't heard a word from anybody, from any consultant or anything else about that particular way that we could potentially stop this project. As far as I'm concerned, you've hired the wrong consultant. You need to take that into consideration. 26% of agricultural farmland is way too much. A second reason, Michigan is part of MISO. It's our grid operator, the Mid-Continent Independent Civic System Operators. It's the operator for all or part of 15 states and Manitoba. This includes Michigan. Typical output for MISO at any given time is in the range of 80,000 megawatts. During the big storm in late January that impacted our area and much of the country, the entire solar and wind output for the entire MISO grid was 3 megawatts, less than 3 megawatts. This at a time when the actual demand during that storm was 96,000 megawatts. Wind and solar was generating 3 megawatts. It failed. The grid was in a near critical state. I've got the screenshots to prove it to on my phone. Anybody can go and see this online. Very close to rolling blackouts. Wind and solar are not considered accredited power. That is power that doesn't depend on weather conditions. There's a nuclear power plant in Callaway County, Missouri. It's part of the MISO grid. The nuclear power plant generates 1,200 megawatts of power. The new data center being built near Saline is going to consume 1,400 megawatts of power. In other words, that nuclear power plant will not power that data center. And here we are talking about adding wind and solar. It's insanity. And this is at a time when our power requirements are increasing at a breakneck pace with data centers and electric vehicle requirements. Again, wind and solar is not an accredited power source. That is, it doesn't depend on the weather. It's insanity. It's another reason to put a stop to it. It's part of the green agenda that's being forced upon us that, quite frankly, is going to destroy our country. It's that serious.
Drill, baby, drill!
Thank you.
I'm going to caucus with Joyce and Clem McLean.
Yep. Can you give it 9 minutes? Can you change that?
Okay, it's 8:45.
Oh,
Okay. Good evening. I would like to share with you several legal reasons we should deny the Heartwood 2 solar project. I will be referencing our zoning ordinance and our master plan, because I would never expect you to deny this project just because we do not like it. We have to use the law when making decisions like this, and the law is on our side. Also keep in mind the following information. Hillsdale County already has the following green energy projects: Bullhead Solar at 2 megawatts, Crescent Wind Farm at 166 megawatts, and Heartwood 1 will be 150 megawatts. Since the entire county of Hillsdale only uses 110 to 120 megawatts during peak usage, it is my opinion our township is already doing its part with Bullhead Solar and Heartwood 1. Why should we be burdened with more? Why should so much of our farmland and wooded areas be taken over by solar panels? Why should so many of our neighbors lose the equity they have built in their houses and land so others can make a profit? These are some of the things that need to be taken into consideration when reviewing this SLUP application. Now let's go over a few questions to consider that come directly from our ordinance when reviewing this project. 1. Section 14.04a. Is the project going to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity? No. Solar farms look like rows of metallic, lifeless panels. They are industrial, and we were even told at Monday's meeting that the lots they are on will be taxed as industrial. These projects greatly alter the visual character of rural areas. I consider them a blight on the landscape, and a few tiny trees 10 or 15 feet apart does in no way appropriately cover up their unappealing appearance and destruction of natural views. 2. Also in section 14.04a, will this project change the essential character of our township? Yes, it will. A farm is defined as a tract of land cultivated for the purpose of agricultural production or devoted to the raising and breeding of domestic animals. Agricultural production is the practice of cultivating soil, planting, raising, and harvesting both food and non-food crops. Sunlight cannot be considered a non-food crop because it is a form of energy and radiation, not a biological organism. So calling a large-scale solar project a farm does not make it a farm. The term solar farm is simply propaganda. A large-scale solar project absolutely changes the essential character of this rural community. It turns it into an industrial area. There is nothing nice or appealing about the look of any large-scale solar project. Just drive around Heartwood 1, because seeing is believing. 3. Section 14.04c. Will this project be detrimental to any person or property? The answer is yes. You already have a peer-reviewed study showing how large-scale solar projects negatively impact property values. You also heard from a local realtor about how this project and the previous one are already causing problems with potential buyers. And just to be clear, a loss in property value is considered a detrimental condition when it results from specific negative factors. A detrimental condition is an issue or condition that may cause a decrease in value. The following are just a few examples of things that cause a decrease in value: proximity to railways, airports, noisy highways, garbage dumps, power lines, and industrial zoning. So to conclude that a large-scale solar project is not detrimental is merely denying the obvious. 4. Section 14.04D. Will this project be compatible with the natural environment? Again, the answer is no. This proposal includes cutting down 38.31 acres of trees. Clear-cutting trees can increase erosion, reduce water quality, cause loss of biodiversity, and will release stored carbon. This project also will be leveling out the farmland, which changes the natural drainage in our area's existing topography. Will this cause wetlands to dry up? Will this cause neighboring lots to be flooded? If you allow the leveling of all these areas, who is responsible for the negative effects? Now I will go over some things that come directly from our township's master plan. In Chapter 2, it talks about woodlands, farmland, and open spaces. It says, while regulations have been developed to protect certain critical environmental areas, woodlands, farmland, and open space have been relatively ignored, even though their benefits to the public as buffers and moderators of flooding, erosion, and noise and air pollution are important assets. For example, woodlands are buffers to the sights and sounds of civilization. Farmland and open space help preserve the rural quality of the township. Woodlands mute from highways and other land uses. Clear cutting of woodlands and the indiscriminate development of open spaces and farmland should be prohibited. Of particular concern is where these important resources exist on private land. In Chapter 4, it says, the township will encourage the preservation of active farmland as a valuable resource for the community. It also says the natural beauty and features that make this area a desirable rural village community will be preserved and enhanced by encouraging responsible development that respects the small town and rural character of the area. Our master plan specifically says that clear cutting should be prohibited, yet the Heartwood 1 project cut down 101 acres of trees, and now for Heartwood 2 proposal, they want to cut down another 38.31 acres. This is unacceptable. We already have 2 large-scale solar projects in our community, so asking us to do another one is nonsensical and creates a situation where an unreasonable amount of our farmland is diminished. And another solar project that includes the destruction of 38.31 acres of trees will absolutely ruin the rural character of this community. I believe I have given you enough legal reasons cited directly from our master plan and zoning ordinance to deny the Heartwood 2 solar proposal, because that is what needs to happen. It is the right thing to do. Our township has contributed enough of our farmland and wooded areas to green energy production. Between Bullhead Solar and Heartwood 1, Fayette Township will already be providing the majority of the energy needs of our entire county. Enough is enough. We do not need another industrial solar development in our community. We gave them an inch, and now they're trying to take a mile. This has become an unreasonable burden placed on our community, and the power lies in your hands to just say no. Thank you.
Ready?
All right, Tony Welding, Fayette Township. Got a couple things for here. Is this one?
Yeah.
We ask some questions too?
Just ask us questions, we'll try and get them.
Okay. All right, Ranger said that they went above and beyond the recommendations and tried to act like they were friendly on everything.
Tony, can you get a little closer to the mic, please?
Sure, I can
Thank
get
you.
louder too.
There you go, get it, get it.
Yeah. Ranger said that they went above and beyond recommendations up there before we heard from the attorney here. They read the review. Trying to sound like it was going to be friendly and stuff. The environmental attorney drastically disagreed with him on that, and they said no, that's not right. So I suspect that Ranger 1 went through without maybe any of the environmental attorney review and stuff like that. They're going to take advantage of us wherever they can take advantage of us. And, you know, I mean, the prime example is that about the lighting and everything else on Moore Road, the first one that we got, it glows almost like the night sun that you see over in Coldwater. We don't need 3 sunrises. You know, it's funny because I joke with my kid all the time that when they're going there, oh, look at the sun's coming up. I'm pointing to the west. I mean, well, everyone knows the sun comes up in the east, right? But if you're acting blind and everything else and believe everything they say, the sun's going to come up in the west. It's not. But they're going to make us believe that it is. We can't just take everything hook, line, and sinker on stuff here. I firmly believe they just pick on areas of our community. I've said it before, I'll say it one more time. We don't have a full-time township. You guys are providing a service here that does not get I mean, it's a thankless job. I know what thankless jobs are. I've had thankless jobs for 23 years at times. There is, not all the time, but a lot of the time. You guys can do the right thing here. I think you need to vote this thing down. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Vote it down. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Mark Nichols. I am here recording for the Adams Times. That is a YouTube channel. There may be people that would like to go back and review this meeting, or maybe there's been people that couldn't make it. So you can do that again at YouTube, The Adams Times. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the YouTube.Adams Times.
It's a YouTube channel.
Just like that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle Bianchi, Hillsdale Road, Fayette Township. Can you hear me? Get closer.
I know you can talk louder.
You're absolutely right, I can. Thank you. Thank you for being so attentive. We're getting on in time. It's almost 9 o'clock. Please keep listening to us. You've done a great job so far. Carrie Oletzkowitz should be an attorney. She did better than lots of people I see come before me. We're talking about special land use permits, and I'm talking to the Planning Commission. You have the power to deny this. You have the power to deny this. What I heard, and I missed your name, sir, at the beginning, your consultant.
Seth.
Pardon me?
Seth Coaches.
Thank you. What I heard, and I hope I can be familiar and simply say Seth,
when he was going through Wortman's report, number one, I thought this is a hideous thing for him to have to do. I'm not sure why they weren't here. It was terrible. You guys paid them. Somebody should have been there to have them going through this. It should have been more important to them than this. The bottom line is when you look at the Fayette Township zoning ordinance, section 1404, you have the power to deny this special use permit. I thought, again, Carrie laid it out beautifully, but I want to actually look at the language and read it to you so you know you've got the power. It might be a little bit boring, but hang in there with me. The Planning Commission shall review each special land use permit request and approve said request only upon a finding that all of the following general standards are complied with. You approve the request only upon a finding that all of the following general standards are complied with. The use is designed and constructed and will be operated and maintained so as to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity. Will be compatible with adjacent uses of land and will not change the essential character of the area in which it is proposed. You can't make the first step.
Thank you.
We're done here. You can't allow this to be passed. You have to deny this special use permit. The other thing I heard out of Seth's report was that the application as it's presented wasn't accurate or complete anyway. There were lots of things that needed to be corrected and improved and included that simply were not there. And they've had years.
Keep going, let them run it.
That's okay.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you.
Okay,
Guys, please.
hang on for just a minute.
All right, we'll throw the whole group of you off if we have to.
Those
Sir, I'm being serious. I don't want to listen to banter between either of you. This is a public meeting and you're not interrupted. Am I clear?
You got it,
Am I clear with you guys? Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to make a statement here. We are at a 2-hour level at this meeting. And at that point, our bylaws say that after the meeting has been in session for 2 hours, we shall suspend the commission's business and evaluate the remaining items on the agenda. The commission shall then decide to finish that meeting's agenda, may act to continue the meeting on another day, or complete some agenda items and continue the meeting on another day to complete other agenda items, or postpone certain agenda items to the next meeting. So this is one of our directives that we have to meet. We know that there's an awful lot of public comment that wants to be made and we want to hear it. We do not want to cheat you out of that time. However, how many people still want to make a public comment?
I'm coming back. Bring it back.
Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and let a couple more speakers speak tonight. And then at that point, the commission will decide to. So at this point, I guess I've been corrected, and because of the bylaws, we need to decide how we're going to continue, if we will continue the meeting tonight or if we will adjourn to another time.
This is too important.
Was the bylaws for when you're at that place, not in this forum?
They are our bylaws.
Yes, when you're at the Fayette, not here.
This is too important, please. Please. Please.
We're not saying we won't hear you. We are saying we would continue with any public comment.
But you won't have the people here. Right, they won't be here.
Yes, we will.
the next meeting? Would the other gentleman be able to come?
What's that next one? We gotta do something. I know
Okay.
what you're gonna do.
All right.
Ready to throw down?
Hey, Copper.
We're good, guys.
All right, we're gonna recess for 5 minutes. It's a potty break for everybody.
Okay. All right, let's do it.